Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where you'll notice I've warped forward a few days here. I was trying to regenerate this mission and get something more interesting. There's a few options that it was cycling through, which is rendezvous two vessels in orbit of Moho like it is here, the same thing over Ike, the same thing over Gilly, and do a flyby of Gilly, which that was the most interesting of them that it came up with, but honestly, I kind of want to just do a mission to Dres. It's a decent thing to end on because missions to Dres are really rare. Basically, nobody ever goes to Dres. So I think we're going to do exactly that. We're going to land on Dres and then come on home. That's going to be the plan here. So is this going to be a refuel on Dres sort of thing? Are we going to do something kind of like our Moho landing? Well, Dres is a little bit easier to get to. We can think about doing it from our combined Moho lander. So it would be based on kind of, well, it would definitely be a cost-cut version of the combined Duna lander, right? No doubt about that. We could certainly do this. This would be a very doable thing, I think. Over Dres, what would the stage 6 Delta V look like? 3.19? So this would be a doable thing. We could certainly just reuse this guy. No doubt about that. There was a slight issue that I had last time where this tank really didn't want to detach. That's not something that I actually mentioned. It happened during one of our long burns, and it didn't like to detach. I had to wiggle things around quite a bit to get it to detach because it's clipped in here. So I would like to make some alterations here. Specifically, I want to move this out like that, and then this out a little bit as well, just so that we have a little bit of clearance here. And that should be slightly better. Maybe even move it out a little further than that. Yeah, that'll do. And really, we could bring this back in if we're going to have it out like that. Yeah, I like it. So we could do something like this, where we land this monstrosity on there, and then we refuel it and bring it on back. That's definitely a viable option. No doubt about that. Let's go into the place mode, just double check our fuel tanks here. They should all be good, in theory. Yes, that all looks fine. Okay. And from here, I want to double check our staging, but that should also be pretty much fine. Okay, this stage is a little bit off, I think. Yeah, where is this decoupler? Here? So this decoupler goes here, because that will burn out first. And then that would be left on the surface, which should be fine. And then these would return. Okay, so we're just going to bring this bad boy onto Dres. I don't want to spend too much time on it. What episode is this? This is going to be episode 98? Okay, so we have 3 episodes to get this done. Let's just bring Jeb, Bill, and Bob, the classic trio, and let's get out of here. I'm not going to use Mech Jeb at all in this. We're going to do this entirely manually. I don't think we're going to have any Delta V issues whatsoever. We should be absolutely fine on Delta V. In theory. Emphasis on in theory. But, I mean, Moho's quite a bit further away in terms of Delta V than Dres, right? I'm like 99% sure that it is. MechJeb, get out of here. We don't need you. We're going to be doing this full manual. Beautiful. Right. I did make some alterations in flight to the struts here that wouldn't be reflected here. I'm going to revert that back to vehicle assembly, and we're going to make those same alterations here in the vehicle assembly. The thing that tipped me off was this wiggling in the way that it did. But what we did previously was I grabbed these guys here. And let's see, we've got struts in there. I think that we want to attach this like so, and this should be in quad. I'm pretty sure that's the change that I made previously. I don't exactly remember, but I'm looking at the rest of this strut work and thinking that should be what we need. Okay, so let's put that out on the pad. We'll double check based on the jiggle test here, which is just put it on the pad and see what moves around. Like, I'm not even inputting any commands for like reaction wheels or anything. We are just seeing what jiggles around when it gets put onto the pad. It should be pretty solid at this point, in theory. We hope. So what do we got here? Solid-ish. Okay, that'll do. So throttle up, and we'll go on to kill rot. We're still going to use smart ASS. It's just better than SAS, but we're going to be doing everything manually. So we're going to lift on off here. Beautiful. Off we go. And we're going to have that slightly awkward deployment of these. And yeah, we've got too many of them. But that's absolutely fine. I'm not too concerned about it. We'll just bring them back. We'll recover them. The ones that we don't use, I guess we've got some spares. So that seems absolutely great. So this is very, very slow feeling off the pad, but it's not actually that slow. 1.8 thrust to weight right now. So that seems fine. We're going to start getting ourselves some horizontal speed. We just want to be a little bit cautious about it. And we'll just push our way right on over. Cool. Slowing down our turn a little bit here. But all things considered, this is looking reasonably good. We're going to need some additional horizontal speed, of course. No doubt about that. We want to be getting over to horizontal soon, but I just don't want to leave too far away from this surface velocity circle. So over we head. Cool. We're holding right on that 90-degree heading. Oh, hello. We're going a little too far. I'm correcting it. We were starting a tumble there. So we're holding altitude, or rather attitude here. Altitude is not very relevant right now. Well, actually it is. We need to get up to, at least 70 kilometers. We've got 23 seconds left in our burn time here. Okay, checking in on our orbital location here. So prograde is currently here. Surface velocity up is currently here. We want to converge those together. That is our current goal. Cool. Just continuing to head on over here. We're very close to making it into prograde, but we're not quite there yet. Let's burn here at the 45-degree marker for a bit. We've got 9 seconds of burn time left on our SRBs. Of course, these are not exactly real seconds. These are SRB seconds. But we are going to just hold here. And yep, that overheat is normal. And we'll detach our SRBs in 3, 2, 1. SRB detach, and it is clean. Beautiful. At this point, we probably want to make our way just over to, well, we're actually kind of coasting here at this point. So we can just do our coast here and circularize. We've got good altitude, so that's all good. Okay, we don't need to push out quite that far. We'll just circularize it up around here. Looks good. So we'll hop on over to the node. We're in full coast mode here. And we're going to be burning off, looks like, all of this fuel, really. That kind of surprises me that we're going to be burning all of this. But I guess given the weight that we've got here, that's not that shocking, now that I think about it. So we're heading on over towards the node as quickly as we can. It's not a rapid turn. There's no doubt about that. And this last little bit of burn is going to be happening, well, out of this tank, specifically this tank. So that'll be fine. This will be more than enough to get us there and back. I'm 99% sure. We've got 9,000 delta V right now, while we're not even out of the atmosphere yet. So that should be good. We've got about 40 seconds left in our coast phase here. I'm just hoping that we get turned enough. It would be rather awkward if we didn't. We do need a lot of horizontal speed here, of course, to circularize, but that's okay. Saying a 3-minute, 36-second burn. That is, of course, including our Cherenkovs. We're now officially in space, by the way. It's still saying 9,000. That's interesting. I think it's a little confused about this fuel, though. If I recall correctly, it didn't quite calculate that right. Looks like we're going to be absolutely fine on our turn here. We should definitely remember to deploy these solar panels. That was a magnetometer. Okay. We don't need the magnetometer report, to be honest. We're fine on the magnetometer from here. We don't need magnetometer data. We'll just reset that. Cool. I'm going to physics warp here as we continue to get onto the node. And our burn for circularization will be now. So off we go. We're going to have these tanks run dry fairly soon. We've not burned any other fuel other than what is in these tanks and what was in the outer SRB tanks at this point. So I mean, we have lots and lots of fuel in the tanks up here, right? Just ridiculous amounts. And that'll be absolutely fine. And we only need to get there and land. We don't need to get back. Okay. Detachment of our side tanks. Off they go. Beautiful. So it looks like we're going to burn out this entire stage here, which is a little sad. I was hoping that we'd have a little left in this tank here, but alas, we do not. So this Jumbo 64 is, of course, going to be backfilling like these outer tanks out here. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We want to ditch this tank, but this tank is going to be fully burned out first. We do have about 98 seconds of burn time left here. This is going to be a bit, so we're just going to continue to burn here. We are currently dropping in our altitude. Our thrust to weight is definitely not the highest, that's for sure. We've got another 200 meters per second to go here. And this tank will be burnt out relatively soon, in about 15 seconds. Cool. 10 seconds of burn time left in this tank. And our thrust to weight is going to be a lot lower, for the record. Actually, that's not that much lower. 0.37? That's relatively similar. Okay, and off we go. Now, we should be pulling from these outer tanks at this moment, which isn't actually what we want to do. So I'm going to pin all 4 of these outer tanks open. The game is a little confused about what this fuel is intended for. It's intended for this. We're going to flow the fuel out of there, and we should see this number holding relatively firm-ish. Actually, it might not be that confused about it. I think it is, though. No, it doesn't seem to actually be all that confused. Cool. Well, that's fine. I don't mind that. Our thrust to weight is a little low, but we just need to get into an orbit. This is going to be a bit of an elliptical one because of our thrust to weight, but that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. And we'll just get this accelerated on up here. There we go. We move into orbital mode. And I'm just watching this periapsis height here. As soon as this is 70, we're going to call this good enough. It's going to be elliptical, no doubt about that. Okay, that's good enough for now. And we can see we burnt out some of this fuel, but by no means did we burn all of it. Cool. From here, we want to go away from the sun. So it's basically going to be next orbit, and we'll burn it here. So we want to head out towards Dres, right? The planet that doesn't exist. This guy here. And we're going to do exactly that. We're going to set this as our target. We know that we're going to be off by 5 degrees on our inclination. I don't suppose this happens to be right when we're going to intercept it. No. So we're going to want to definitely do that inclination change, and I'm just going to park us slightly outside of the Duna orbit for easier time intercepting. And then we'll do our standard inclination change, circularization, and then we'll head on in. So we'll align for this node. That's going to be in 28 minutes here. There we go. And let's warp on over. Cool. We've still got a bit of a monstrosity going on here, and to be honest, we're going to have almost all of this when we land on Dres. Oh, we should probably extend this communitron. That would tend to help. As soon as we're done with this burn, we will do so. Or rather, not burn. As soon as we're done with this warp. Okay, let's extend that antenna. There we go. Got to make sure that these guys have access to their cat flicks after all. And we're going to physics warp on forward here. I don't like the way that that's wiggling. But I mean, we're going to be ditching that tank pretty soon. And it's because there's an advanced reaction wheel module in it, I'm pretty sure. So we're just going to, I think, shut down this reaction wheel module. And let's commence this burn in 2, 1, 0 mark. It's going to be a 5-minute burn, so we're going to physics warp this. And of course, we're going to flow the fuel out of here. Beautiful. So that fuel will flow on out of this tank. I mean, we could move it into some of these other tanks as well, if we really wanted to be clever, but that sounds like work. And I think that's why this number is actually still going down. I think it's going down by less than it should be because it's not calculating the fuel in this tank. I'm pretty sure that's what we've got going on here. Every other fuel source here should be counted, but not this one. So I just want to double check that this will be the right decoupler. Indeed it will. We shouldn't have any problems with this decouplage as well. So that'll be fine. And we know that these tanks are not fully full up here, right? So that's the reason why this number is dropping. Cool. Let's drop out of our physics warp as of now. And we'll just continue to flow this out. It didn't properly continue to flow after we dropped out of the physics warp, but we're going to empty this tank, and it is empty as of now. And we ditch that, a nice clean detach, unlike last time. Cool. That is great. We no longer need these bad boys pinned open. We're not going to be ditching any of these tanks, right? So that's absolutely fine. We just don't really care what order this flows out in, so it's okay. And we are out of here. We are officially in a hyperbolic trajectory at this point, and we're just going to push out until we are past the orbit of Duna. It doesn't necessarily have to be as far as we have pushed here, to be honest. And let's physics warp here. There we go. I thought I saw maybe a moon encounter there. Or maybe that's a Kerbin encounter. I don't know. Let's just push out to the apoapsis here. I see that we're a little off our node. That's fine. I'm not too concerned about it. This'll do. Beautiful. So next up is going to be our inclination change, which will be happening right here. This direction. Cool. So we'll do something along the lines of that. That looks perfect. We'll head on over to that node. That node is going to be in about 40 days, which is fine. How are we doing on power? We are doing fine on power. We've got lots of power. Cool. So we're going to position here. There we go. And we are out of here. Goodbye, Kerbin. We'll be back. Phenomenal. So our inclination change is going to be in about 10 days here. No problem whatsoever. Okay, about 1 minute now. 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. About a 3-minute inclination change burn here. Of course, these nuclear engines are very efficient, but what they aren't is a huge amount of thrust to weight, right? There's no doubt about that. But we're going to be burning out a lot of our mass here as we remove liquid fuel. So that'll be absolutely phenomenal. And this should be a pretty accurate read on our remaining delta V at this point, in theory. Cool. So we're about halfway done through our inclination change burn here. What is this? Oh, this is leaving our mining equipment behind. Right. We want to keep our mining equipment. Thank you very much. We want to be able to refuel when we get there. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so we're going to come out of physics warp here. We've got about 40 meters per second to go. We're about a 5-second burn. Overshot it slightly, but it should be okay. 0.4. That's probably still close enough. Okay, so we could come around and correct that at the descending node. That's actually our next good opportunity to do that. I'm going to do so. I want to get that a little closer. It's probably close enough to squeak in an encounter. But I want to just do something like that. 65.8 meters per second. Okay, and that we'll be able to circularize at the apoapsis shortly after that. So that seems fine. We're going to warp on up there. It's not quite as borderline as some of these warps have been for cutting it out, but it's close to being borderline. No doubt about that. But a small change to our inclination here again, just because I didn't nail that. That's fine. So we're going to try this again, 65.8 meters per second this time. And we know that we have some issues turning all of this, right? There's no doubt about that. But that's fine. No major issues here. We are going to be burning out a lot of mass, so we'll be able to turn more rapidly the more mass we burn. And pushing out to Dres is going to be fairly important on that front. So that'll be great. Our apoapsis is only here. That's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be here. Okay. Well, that's probably to do with a moon encounter or something that we didn't notice. Okay. Let's commence this burn. We'll get that done, and then we'll push out our apoapsis. I guess here is fine. It's not that big of a deal. So it'll be okay. Nothing too major at this point. Okay. Getting that last little bit. This is almost certainly close enough. Yeah, that's close enough. So we can then push out our apoapsis here. And we can see what this would end up looking like. So that's about 2,000 delta V to get to Dres there. And then the question is, what sort of timing is that going to be? Well, I think that we should probably push it out to be about here. This is less speed than I thought that we were going to have. We should still be fine, though. We've still got 6,000 DV in this thing, remember. So that should be okay. We'll push out to here, and then we'll recircularize. We just want to get out beyond the Duna orbit, I think. It looks like we don't have amazing timing, so we're not going to do that immediately. This is going to be about a 3-minute burn, and we're going to burn out all of the fuel in these side tanks, but we're not ditching the side tanks. We're just burning the fuel, which will save us most of the weight, to be sure. And at least we don't have to carry oxidizer. That would be problematic. So we've got about 1 minute now until our burn. We're going to continue to warp on forward. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Cool. We're not going to be staging this, so we're just going to burn this on through. This will be a large percentage of the speed increase that we need to get to Dres. Remember, the further away you get from Kerbal, the easier it is to move things. It's all exponential. So that'll be absolutely fine. We'll push our apoapsis on up. And we're about halfway through this burn now. We are going to be burning out the fuel in these tanks here. And this fuel here is not currently... It's being counted separately. Okay, that's fine. We're not... The game is slightly confused about how we're going to do this. It's not perfectly accurate. And that's okay. We'll just continue to burn beyond this burning out. And that's fully expected. This is holding at 49.90. Interesting. We're pulling the fuel from here. I think the game is very confused about how much fuel we have then. Interesting. We've got about 2 seconds left on our burn. This doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. We'll call this good enough. There we go. Had to click on that 3 times. That's exciting. And then we will look to circularize here. Just to make a transfer slightly easier. Of course, Dres isn't in a circular orbit. What would it look like if we were to attempt to rendezvous here? Well, that's mildly awkward. Okay, so it looks like we should do a circularization, and it looks like we're going to have a decent opportunity to encounter it down over here, maybe? Maybe. We'll just do something like that. We'll line up. And this burn is going to be in 389 days. I mean, yeah, we're definitely getting longer and longer orbits out here. No doubt about that. It is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to be in position to get this burn done. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Rogue Corvid, Kentogan, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.